Hey guys, welcome back to DirtSheets.com. I'm Zach Brown, David Martell, and with us today, special guest Jacob San Antonio. He's a Dirt Sheets writer, and he's joining us for our special Wrestlemania 29 review. We're going to be talking about the Wrestlemania 29 review as well as a few things that happened on Raw. So we're going to go down the entire card and give our thoughts. So, you guys excited? Do you guys like WrestleMania?
Was there a pay-per-view this week?
I'm pretty sure there was a TNA show.
Yeah,
it looked like it.
I thought it was a train wreck or something.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to make our thoughts clear. Okay, so first on the card, well, actually, before we even get to the actual card, two things happened. First of all, tons of Funk versus Rhodes Scholars and the ladies.
Funk?
Yeah. The Bellas and the Funkadactyls. They did not make the card, which I honestly thought was going to be the worst match on the card. So
it was really, a plus that it was not.
Yeah, in a way, but at the same time, you see a picture of the guys backstage. I'm a little sad for them.
How cute.
Wow. Okay, well, that's it. The pre-show, we didn't actually see it, but I mean, obviously they showed bits and pieces throughout the night. The Miz beating Wade Barrett for the IC title. What do you guys think of that outcome?
I would like to withhold my opinion until we get to Raw.
Okay, sure. That's fair.
I think that's
fair.
good.
Let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so the first match that was actually on the card, The Shield versus Sheamus and Orton and Big Show. The Shield won here. Ambrose getting the pin on Orton. So let's start with Jacob. Jacob, what do you think of this match?
It's frustrating. I'm happy the Shield won. It's awesome. But at the same time, you can have them win everything under the sun, and I just can't help but feel like it's going to end like the Nexus all over again.
Okay.
I haven't shaken that from me yet. Like I still think it's like they're going to screw this up somewhere. They're going to misstep.
Okay.
They're going to lose one match, and then all of a sudden they're going to lose all of them. Or maybe it's wrong of me because it's only 3 guys this time, and pretty easy to say there's a lot more talent in these 3 guys than the collective of the Shield or the Nexus. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. I don't know.
But still,
I mean, it remains to be seen.
I'm just concerned that as good as that win was, with where they're going, like, is that first loss going to be like the I guess the turning point for the entire angle?
Okay, that's fair. David, what did you think?
I'm happy the Shield won as well, but I didn't like this match coming into it because it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
They just threw Sheamus, Orton, and Big Show together. It's like, we have these 3 guys that have nothing to do.
Yeah.
Just shove them together and make them go against the Shield. I guess it looks good for the Shield because they beat 3 top guys, but as the match itself, I just didn't care because there was nothing really there. There wasn't really any real feud going on. It was just throwing these guys to fight the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the ending of the match, after the match,
was more interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Randy Orton obviously stole a tag and he ended up losing.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Show, he's yelling at him. Sheamus just, what's going on? But then Randy Orton gets jacked too, and that was funny. I like that.
I did like that too. I thought it was a fine opener. I kind of agree with what you're saying, Jay. Or I see what you're saying. I hope that they don't have as bad of a fate as Nexus, because really, I kind of feel that they're not a huge storyline, honestly. So I feel that might play in their favor. But I don't know. This match, didn't make a lot of sense, as you were saying, and while it was an okay opener, I could care less. So, but yeah, I was more interested in the post-match Big Show punching Sheamus, actually, which wasn't even involved in the argument. I found very funny. But
the punches were terrible too.
Yeah, they were. Really, they were pretty half-hearted. Anyway, so from there we went to Mark Henry defeating Ryback, and then post-match Ryback finally getting the shell shocked on Mark Henry. David, what did you think?
I love that Mark Henry won because I am a huge Mark Henry fan.
What did you think of the match?
I'm a huge Mark Henry fan.
That's about all you can say.
The match was okay. It wasn't anything special. I didn't think it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But for what it was a fine match. I mean, there wasn't really any botching or nothing terrible about it. But when you have 2 big guys like that, you can't expect something really awesome. It could have been better. Like, went back when Mark Henry and Sheamus were feuding, and they, break through the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There wasn't any big spot like that should have happened. And that was lacking. But overall, it was a decent match, and I'm glad Mark Henry got the win. Ryback still got to look good by doing the shell shock, so I think it kind of worked for both of them.
Yeah, they both looked good.
I was fine with the
no
match
complaints.
overall.
Okay, Jacob, what do you think?
As a device to make both guys look credible and strong, it was great. Mark Henry gets the win, and he manages to stop Ryback, which is pretty hard to do. Ryback gets the shell shocked on Mark Henry, so hey, look, I can do this, So both guys look great.
Yeah.
As a match, and this is a running theme with this WrestleMania that I couldn't stand. I felt like it was a match you could easily see on Raw or SmackDown. There was really nothing that great about this match. And I mean, if you're having monster on monster, big guy, it can be done a lot better. Like David was saying, Big Show and Henry, I believe they had a match where I remember just walking away completely shocked.
I know. That was good.
They would just tear it up. And, obviously you don't want to see, this is their first time, straight up, at a WrestleMania pay-per-view just going at each other. But at the same time, it's WrestleMania. Give me something special to see. And so,
totally.
as a match, I was sorely disappointed.
Yeah, I totally agree about the match quality. I couldn't help but notice on Raw, JBL and a few of the other commentators, they were like, these two men were shoving each other around the ring last night. That's pretty much all they were doing. I mean, really, there was that mystique of who will get who up because there's such big super heavyweights. But past that, the match really wasn't much of anything, and it was kind of a running thing for the night. I was again more interested in the post match, it did help both men, but yeah, together they just don't produce a great match. So.
I feel like they could, but just they didn't.
It could be in their cards, but
they weren't able to do anything special. It was just okay, it's just a match.
Maybe it should have been no holds barred, almost like another match in this card.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Who knows? Okay, so then we had Team Hell No defeating Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston in the tag titles match. Jacob, what did you think?
Well, I have fun watching Team Hell No. They're fun to watch. They've still got pretty good chemistry, which that always surprises me. Just how well Kane can work with other people when his singles career is a little spotty at best. But him and Bryan work really well together. I'm not too big on Big E Langston, and yet he does a decent enough job when he's paired up with Ziggler. That's not saying he's stealing the show or anything, but he does what's needed to be done in a match. And again, I enjoyed the match, but it still felt like there was just, I don't know, I just didn't feel like there was anything that special about it. I think the most interesting thing had to be the first 20 seconds where you're wondering, okay, Dolph kissed AJ, what's going to happen? And they teased it.
Yeah, they did.
And, it didn't happen, thankfully. So.
Yeah. With this match, I really felt that this was a kind of a big example of really misbooking the undercard. I really feel that the Shield should have been in this match with Team Hell No. And you really, you're not thinking, what if Big E and Ziggler win those tag belts? You're thinking, what if Ziggler cashes in? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know about everyone else, but I don't care about Ziggler as a tag team champion. I don't want that. So really, this match was just kind of a throwaway for me. It wasn't offensive. Nothing on the card really was, but it wasn't. It just wasn't worth catching, honestly. David, what do you think?
It was another Raw match.
A
lot of the undercard felt
Sadly.
like Raw matches, SmackDown matches. It wasn't special. I didn't care about it. I do not like Big E Langston whatsoever. I think he's terrible all around. Even with Ziggler, I feel like he needs to be cut off from Ziggler. Ziggler needs to be his own man.
Yeah.
So when he's in a tag team, he's been in tag teams for so long. Yeah. It's like he has that briefcase. He needs to be away from all this. He needs to just be Dolph Ziggler. Yeah. I'm fine with AJ. That stuff's fun. Whatever. But this match, you knew they weren't going to win. Nothing special happened in this match. Yeah, the tease at the beginning was fun. Because are they just going to do the same thing they did last year? I will say this though. I'm happy Daniel Bryan got a win at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To me, he actually had a match at WrestleMania. It was decently length,
How sad is it that this is his first win?
I don't know. This sucks that this has to be the match that he has.
But let's be realistic here. Post-match, that celebration with the entire crowd,
Yeah, I mean, he's so mega over. That's all it is.
That's 2 WrestleManias in a row where the crowd demanded more Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe this is his first win, but I think between last year and this year and just how his career has just kind of shot up in the past year and a half,
get him out of the tag team already. Just get him out of there. Just let him
They
shine.
were fun, but it's like, Daniel Bryan has so much potential to be his own guy.
I know.
Just like Ziggler. They both need to split and just do their own singles thing because they're both awesome.
No, I completely agree. Okay, next up we're going to talk about Fandango versus Chris Jericho. Fandango won the match. David, what did you think?
I will say I was excited going into this match because I wanted to see what Fandango could do because this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
To debut, we've seen him wrestle Johnny Curtis, whatever, but to debut this character wrestling on the biggest show of the year, you felt like, okay, he's going to show us everything he has. And he's going to just bust loose. He's wrestling with Jericho, who could bring a freaking broom to a great match if he wanted to. Yeah. So I was sorely disappointed that the match was not great. It's fun. I love his character. It's funny. The dancing is great. But I wasn't impressed. I was not impressed with Fandango. I was just, great, you did a leg drop off the top rope. I've seen that a million times. Matt Hardy did it all the time. That's nothing new. I just wasn't impressed with the match. I felt like I should have got more out of a Jericho match. I should have got more out of someone's debut. And for me, it just wasn't there. And I was disappointed. Glad he won because he's the guy who needs to be built up. But I was just disappointed with the match. It should have been better.
Okay. Jacob, what do you think?
Well, I have to admit something. Fandango to me is, it's hard for me to sit there and look at him and say, oh, that's Fandango. Because every time I see Fandango, I see Disco Inferno from WCW. And
fair point.
I will say this, I wasn't impressed with the match either, but I do think right now Fandango's success in the WWE is entirely dependent on whether or not his gimmick continues to work. His gimmick, I got a good laugh. I mean, what an entrance. What an entrance.
Yeah, that's true. The dancers were there like, that's cool.
It was interesting. The wrestling, it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Again, you could put that on Raw or SmackDown. Yeah. Jericho had to lose. Let's be realistic here. I mean, Fandango has been teasing and teasing and teasing. For him to lose at WrestleMania, it'd been a waste of time.
Yeah.
Not that
over.
Yeah,
really.
Not that great of a match. But if it means more Disco Inferno in 2013, I'm all for it.
Okay, fair enough. I think I was a little more impressed with the match than you guys. I came away from it thinking it was one of the better undercard matches.
Well, you have bad taste.
Thanks. Thanks for that. The main problem I had with it is that Fandango has not established a finishing move. A leg drop is, if that's really his finishing move, that's a big problem. Because no one should finish with that. Especially at WrestleMania.
Thing.
Yeah, something.
I don't know.
Come up with something.
Super kick.
I don't know. But yeah, a super kick would really work.
Looks like he could do it.
He looks like he could totally pull it off.
Yeah.
But a leg drop finishing off Jericho, it doesn't do it for me. I think it was about a 2-star match, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's not ultimately that impressive. It is what it is. I seem to be saying that a lot, but it's not a very impressive. I know. Okay, so after that we had the first title match of the night: Alberto Del Rio defeating Jack Swagger via submission. I'll go ahead and start what I think about this match. I liked the match. It was decent. I'd say it was about 2.5-star territory. But it. Honestly, the best part of the match was the look on Zeb Coulter's face when he figured out that there's this GIF going around now. It's so funny, and it really emphasizes Zeb Coulter's stature. He's like, it's so funny. The match itself, I mean, I was impressed. I don't know, it was good. It was better than I thought it was going to be. The right man won. But really, I ended up being disappointed that there was not the post-match I expected. No briefcase involved, no Ziggler involved. I mean, we'll talk about that, when it comes to Raw, whatever. But, it's just sort of middle of the road in terms of the whole night. What do you think, Jacob?
Well, you are right. The right man won. The match was good. I mean, I'm not going to dog on the match. It was good enough. But a lot of this ties into Raw. A lot of the stuff at WrestleMania ties into Raw.
It's kind of like one show, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's my problem, is that it was a good match, but you had a similar match the very next night on Raw that I kind of felt was a little better.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with post match, but the WWE is struggling with the idea of keeping things special at WrestleMania. I mean, Rock and Cena last year, Triple H and Undertaker. I mean, what else really was there? I mean,
was there other matches?
I mean, there were, but nothing really shouts out at me. And I feel like this WrestleMania was the same thing. Like, you had
I agree.
one match that kind of stood out, and then the rest of them were just kind of forgettable. And I feel like this match, there just wasn't anything special to it. There was no flair. It was just Del Rio, Jack Swagger. They wrestled. Del Rio wins. I mean, I liked the match, but
Sums up.
I mean, well, yeah, but I don't want to say bored, but I was just like, well, that was a match. It was a good match.
It was better than I thought it would be, but...
Well, you can say you weren't bored. I don't remember a lot of this match. It's not memorable. I don't remember much that happened. I remember watching it and not thinking... Because I didn't care about this match. I didn't care about this feud. I'm not really into Del Rio face. Right. I'm not into Swagger at all.
USA.
It was really there's no low stakes. You know what I mean?
I get what they were trying to do, but this didn't feel like a world title match. I
don't get what they were trying to do with this.
I was not invested in the world title, which is disappointing because it should be higher praised.
That's 2 years in a row. The world title is really not a good.
I would say probably 3 years.
What was that?
Who was last year?
That was the 18 seconds.
Okay, and the year before that was Edge Del Rio starting the show.
Oh.
Yeah, so to me, the world title, it didn't matter.
Yeah. I didn't care. It hasn't mattered at WrestleMania for a while now.
I didn't care about either one of the wrestlers. I wasn't invested in the storyline. And, we all knew Del Rio was going to win. Swagger had a DUI or whatever.
So why would they
give the title to him?
Exactly.
And, I was also disappointed that we didn't get the cash-in because you were expecting, this is WrestleMania, what better place to do a cash-in than WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. So,
apparently they're all after. But,
but the match itself, it wasn't nothing to me. I can't think of much that happened in that match. I know that sounds sad, but I just can't.
I don't disagree with you. I'm having trouble picking out spots. I did like a few of the reversals, the submission reversals.
Yeah.
But aside from that, there's nothing really. I mean, no one's gonna buy the card to see that match.
Oh,
no, not at all. Okay, after that we had Undertaker versus CM Punk. Undertaker defeated CM Punk, retained his streak as 21-0 now. David, what did you think?
I really liked this match, and I knew I was going to like it. I love CM Punk. He's probably my favorite wrestler right now. Maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. After WrestleMania, it might be someone else. But I love CM Punk. Undertaker, he's meant for WrestleMania. It's almost his show at this point.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be good. It wasn't great. I won't say it was great.
Yeah.
It was a very good match. But they definitely went down a notch. Because, we've talked about this.
Past 4 years.
He had two of the most amazing matches with Shawn Michaels. One that we were all at, that was probably the best WrestleMania match ever. And, the next year was so much more emotional because Shawn Michaels' career was on the line. And then, Triple H, we've seen it before, but still it's big, and then end of era last year, which personally I don't care, but I can see why people are invested in it. But this one, it was just like, okay, one of my favorite wrestlers going against a guy who's awesome at WrestleMania. So I knew it was going to be good. I definitely think it could have been better. Maybe if they had more time, I don't know. I feel like they could have had more time.
Yeah.
I love the table spot that CM Punk didn't break the table because it was awesome. Because then you're like, that really hurt. Like he is in legit pain right now.
Somehow, if it doesn't break, it looks worse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I loved all the reversals at the end.
Yeah.
You know, it was fantastic because there's so many times. And then, like every Undertaker match now, you think he's going to lose or Punk's going to lose. And every time someone kicks out a tombstone, I'm just like, oh my God, he's still alive. Even though you know he's going to lose. You know he's going to lose. But you always think, just maybe this is the year that Taker falls.
You hope.
Yeah, and at this point, you kind of hope. You're like, put CM Punk over. CM Punk's awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, I enjoyed it. I love the match. It was very good, but not great.
Okay. Jacob.
Match of the night, I honestly think.
Wow, okay.
Match of the night.
That's fair.
But I agree with him, and that's my biggest problem with it. It was a notch down from the past 4 years. And I think the reason why it bothers me as much as it does is that I feel like with CM Punk, this whole year for him has just been a notch down. It's like, oh, you get the belt for a whole year. Congrats. Oh, wait, you don't get the main event anything. It was a good match. It was a WrestleMania quality match, but it was a notch down, and I didn't like how CM Punk had to be that transition back to regular, just Undertaker, wrestles a guy at WrestleMania and wins, I honestly think it was a great match. They worked well together, but that notch down really bothers me.
Okay. I think it's in the top 3 matches of the night. That's not a difficult statement to make. It's not my favorite match of the night. We'll talk about that later, I guess. I did think that it was a notch down, unfortunately. I hate to say that because CM Punk has such a huge place in my heart, but the fact of the matter is, I honestly put it on the level of Undertaker versus Edge at WrestleMania.
I can see that.
Because I was thinking about, like, what, I don't know. It's tough. I honestly think if the match had maybe 5 more minutes, it would be right up there with the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, time was an issue for this WrestleMania, across the board. I did like a few things like CM Punk doing old school on Taker, things like that.
The Anaconda Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stare down.
I know, yeah, I like that stuff. But anyway, so it was good, but like these guys said, not great. All right, and we're back to talk about the final 2 matches of the show. We're talking about first Triple H defeating Brock Lesnar, and now Jacob, you have a lot to get out. I know it because you love both of these men, and I'm going to let
his
you go
favorite
first.
wrestlers.
Yeah,
if you don't know Jacob, these are his
Jacob has a
favorites.
huge history of both guys, so I'm just going to let him talk
You could
first.
pay me $1 million each to watch a Triple H match and Brock Lesnar match, and I would still hate it. I cannot stand these two. I mean, I'll give the WWE credit. That was the best thing to do with both of them, because you've got an ego trip who, just throw them in there, let them go nuts, That's fine. That's great. That's the best possible outcome. Sort of. But, we get to the match. So Brock Lesnar is getting paid a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
He's making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's on par to, outclass a couple third world countries, And so you bring him into your company, and what do you do with him? Well, he loses. Oh, well, he beat Triple H at SummerSlam. Oh, that's SummerSlam.
Yeah.
That's not WrestleMania.
Not the same.
Yeah, it is not the same. So what exactly has he accomplished? He doesn't talk anymore. He kicks down the door of the WWE, lays out John Cena, and then shuts up and lets Paul Heyman do all the work
Do you
for him.
want him to talk?
No, but I'm saying, it just seems like this whole Brock Lesnar thing kind of coming back, I'm not feeling it. I mean, I just don't care. He's going to come in, he's going to be super brutal, he's going to tear stuff up, and then he's going to lose.
Yeah.
Apparently, because that's all they've had him do.
You're right.
The match was good, but that's because I was under the assumption that Triple H was losing. I really thought this was the best chance to get Triple H out, move him to the front office, the best transition possible, and it gives Lesnar a chance to regain some foothold in the WWE. It's like, well, you couldn't beat Cena, you kind of hurt Triple H, and now you put him away. It's like, hey, that makes perfect sense. Well, they didn't do that. Brock Lesnar destroys Triple H. Triple H gets some offense back in, and when it's all said and done, Triple H gets the win. Wrong call. The wrong call. The worst call. I can't say it enough. It is just disgusting to me that this is how it's going to boil down in my mind. In my brain, Triple H refuses to do what John Cena wouldn't do. So like John Cena didn't want to lose to Brock Lesnar. Triple H is like, well, I don't want to either. Well, what about SummerSlam? Oh, I can do SummerSlam. SummerSlam's fun. What about WrestleMania? No, I don't think so. Just it drives me bonkers. It's like, dude, you aren't a centerpiece of the WWE anymore. You haven't been for a while. I mean, you've had your highs. You've still been pretty good, but you're not a big deal anymore. You're not as big a deal as you used to be, and I just kind of want him out.
Okay. That's fair. For me, the match, the match is my match of the night. I was supremely impressed with Brock Lesnar. I don't like either guy that much, honestly, especially character-wise. But I really felt Brock brought it. Like, I feel he earned the money that he was paid. I mean, to some extent. I really loved all the suplex spots. He was doing some sick suplexes on Triple H. The one where he suplexes him into the announce table. I didn't even see coming. I forgot they even set that up.
I don't think that was even planned. But since it didn't break, it was like,
why not?
Why not kill Triple H?
There's this moment where Brock, they like run up on Brock just as he's screaming, "Rah!" And it's just terrifying. It's just like, he is an animal, And I loved how brutal he was. Now, the one part of the match, and a lot of people have been bringing this up, is when Brock, they start doing all these spots on the steps. They have a step platform in the middle of the ring, and Triple H locks on the key lock on Brock, and it's just, that really kind of did slow down the match. First of all, I mean, there was drama of like, will it end here? But then it's just like, come on, Brock is the MMA guy.
Yeah.
Brock is the MMA guy. Triple H, I felt like, all right, I just learned this move today. Let's just see. Third time's a charm. It's just like, come on. I just couldn't buy that. I don't know. I did feel that it gave me the near falls that I was wanting from Punk Undertaker. It was that heated. I honestly felt that the crowd should have been way more into it.
Oh yeah.
Because they were just mostly silent until the end. So I really feel that this is a match to seek out for this entire WrestleMania. There's a few other high spots, obviously, but for me, I mean, this took the cake, and I was very pleasantly surprised because I didn't even think about this match going in. I mean, hardly. It was a real afterthought for me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, David.
I loved the match. It was also my favorite match on the card. The first thing I noticed is when Brock walked out, he was in excellent shape.
Yeah.
So you already realized, okay, he trained for this match. So he legit trained for this match. Because when he first came in the year before, he was a little tubby.
Well, I mean,
Brock,
still
Brock.
We're all
tubby
compared to him.
He cared. I legit think he cared about this match. Sure. He was amazing. This is the Brock that I remember when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. This was the Brock Lesnar that is a wrestler. He was wrestling. He was doing incredible suplexes. He was murdering Triple H. And I was laughing the whole time. Because for me, Brock Lesnar's character as a person isn't great, but I hate Triple H. Triple H has ruined lots of wrestling moments for me for the past decade. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, I want Brock to win.
This is why we're friends.
Because Triple H, he should not be in the spotlight anymore. He's old. He's past his prime. There's no mystique to him. It's just, I just want to be on top. Just like you said, John Cena did it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. He keeps putting himself on a pedestal that he doesn't need to be on. So going into this match and then seeing Brock just murder him, I was like, yes, more, please. Put him through more tables. I wanted a head chair shot. Mm-hmm. Of course, those are banned, but I still wanted it. Yeah. I wanted it was brutal. It was awesome. For me, it redeemed Brock Lesnar. For me, personally, redeemed
from
Brock
WrestleMania
Lesnar.
20 or something?
Well, it's for this whole thing. I understand that. But for this whole thing, it's like, okay, Brock is here to wrestle and be a wrestler. Yeah, he's getting paid a crap ton of money, but he's caring. And that's what matters to me. So, the ending was disappointing because I wanted Triple H to lose too. You know, the key lock didn't bother me as much because at least the reason why.
Am I gonna fall for it again? Yes. But one more time. Yes.
The fact is, he didn't tap, and he kind of showed like, okay, well, he's resilient. You know, he was an MMA guy. This kind of stuff isn't going to work on him, even though I think he did tap in MMA. I think
he did. His very first match, he did.
So, but the sledgehammer slot and all that crap, I don't like it. Triple H should be gone.
I hate that sledgehammer.
He should be done. This is a perfect time for him to retire from the ring. He can be an on-air character. He can be a GM, a COO, owner of the company. I don't care. But as a wrestler, he should be done.
I did wish this was his write-off. Although the way I ended up not having a problem with it was that the storyline, everything from how he injured Vince to how he injured Triple H before, it led to this. I mean, it's the same with how WrestleMania 25 led to that ending. And I'm referencing Triple H, Randy Orton.
We're not ever talking.
I know. I'm not saying that the right decision was made. I'm saying the storyline led to that. I'll start my phone. Anyway, the storyline led to that. I mean, that's how I was sort of okay with Triple H winning.
Nah.
No.
I don't get me wrong. I wanted Brock Lesnar to win.
I got you wrong.
Oh, okay.
No one agrees with you.
Good. Anyway, up next we will talk about Rock and Cena.
Well, hey, what about Puff Daddy?
I'm not.
We're not going to talk about Puff Daddy? Anybody? P. Diddy?
All right, let's briefly mention P. Diddy.
Dirty
Awful. I don't ever want another celebrity music appearance ever. Okay. On that note, I am impressed that they did not have a celebrity match.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God, because that would have really sunk
this card even worse, guys.
I know.
Snooki.
I know. Yeah.
Well, they tried.
She was in the crowd. But yeah.
P. Diddy in a match.
First of all, the lights behind P. Diddy, you could barely even see him. So you do that camera, you're like, okay, we're seeing it. All right, now we're blind. All right, now we're seeing him again. It's just like, and wouldn't you get Jay-Z? It's freaking New York. Wouldn't you think?
Their own backyard. I hate that. I hate that WWE calls New York like, yeah, we're from here.
Yeah,
I mean, our office is in Connecticut.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And this isn't New York. But
New Jersey. It's like the same thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
That's so stupid to me.
It's just such a waste of time, especially when you know that people are left off the card. People that weren't even advertised don't have a spot. So it's just like, why? Like, people don't show up for P. Diddy. People don't buy the card for P. Diddy.
Well, that's really my biggest problem with it. Is that, especially like an open air stadium like that. I mean, you can even go back to SummerSlam with CeeLo Green. It's like the crowd might be into it, but can you hear him? Like I can barely ever hear
I feel like it's the type of music isn't really wrestling music, you know.
Well, even Kid Rock was at WrestleMania 25, but that was terrible. That was really bad.
Say the Living Color doing CM Punk's entrance.
I love that. That was cool.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the right thing, then it could work. But they always have these like rappers or R&B singers or stuff like that. To me, it just doesn't go over. It's not wrestling music. It's not intense.
What they need to do is they need to take a step back. Bring back Limp Bizkit.
I agree.
No, I agree. Do not agree.
Limp Bizkit was
not
awesome.
in 2013.
Hey, it's my way.
They brought him back at, what was it? He was there at SummerSlam.
Dude,
he made his
every
presence
time
known.
they used his music in the past, it was awesome.
It's no longer awesome.
All those videos
you're
are
in the
good.
minority.
I don't think
no
I'm
one
in the
likes his
minority.
music anymore.
I don't think I'm in the minority.
Nookie.
They never used that song.
Blue eyes.
They did use that
He's
song.
really bad now.
Now,
He was bad
yes.
then, too.
Then it was fun. You were a kid, so you didn't know better.
Yeah. 01. Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yes. It was perfect.
And finally, we're going to talk about Rock versus Cena 2.
Terrible.
Twice in a lifetime, clearly. So let's go ahead and start with Mr. David Martel.
I didn't want to see this match. I don't want twice in a lifetime.
Well, you got it.
Once in a lifetime is good enough for me. I think it's good enough for everybody. You're like, yeah, Rock Cena, it's good. It's kind of a dream match. It was okay.
Let's do it again.
It's a solid match. I didn't want to see it again because 1, I knew Cena would win. 2, I knew The Rock would lose.
It was telegraphed.
3, Cena would hold the
10 months
freaking
ago.
title again and ruin my life.
Yep.
And my life matters.
I'm sorry, man.
You referenced earlier when we were watching Raw that it's 2006 all over again. I don't want 2006. 2006 was the worst year of wrestling
It is.
ever.
2006.
Ever. John Cena as champion is terrible. It's freaking terrible. I don't like it. I never want to see it. I don't want to hear 11-time world champion, 12-time world champion, 13, 14. How many titles is he going to win? There should be no more.
He's 11 times.
Yeah, but for now. He's going to be Ric Flair, apparently. That's their goal. John Cena's, 33 years old? He has forever to ruin my life. I'm going to be old and be like, you son.
Yeah. Okay, were you at all impressed with the match?
No.
No.
It was okay. It was not main event quality. I didn't care. It was a complete rehash of last year. Same match. You got the same match, just more finishers. Hell, almost the entire match was finishers. How many rock bottoms did we see? 4?
4, yeah.
4. It was cool when it was Stone Cold and The Rock going against each other because they would flip each other's special moves and do it. That was cool because you had 2 of the best ever. But this was one of the best ever with one guy who thinks he's the best. And
Shots fired.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't care. So to me, it's like, okay, I've seen this already. It's the same thing. There's nothing special. My life is over. That's how the match was for me, and completely disappointed.
Okay.
It's like, okay, thanks for ending my life after this match. Wrestling, never watch again.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I probably liked the match a little more than you.
You would.
I did feel it was samey.
You're a mark.
Shut up. It was a little samey from last year. It definitely didn't help that there was even kind of a similar set design. You know, like last year we had these big orange pillars. This year we kind of had these big orange pillars, and if you squint your eyes enough, it really feels like the same match. Like you said, yeah, 4 rock bottoms. What made it even worse, there are several setups for rock bottoms that are canceled, you know. So, and then several AA setups. It's just like
and elbow drops. And
yeah, it kind of felt like okay, these guys have no other finishers, you know.
These guys have no other moves.
He even did he lock in a crossface at one point, and then later in STF, which looked even worse. Both looked
that was
bad.
not a real cross. I don't know what that was.
It was like really bad.
A
He fell
hug
asleep
on the ground.
Yeah, he just fell asleep.
Does that hurt?
Yeah.
Do you want me to make it more comfortable?
Yeah, you know, I probably rate the match about 3.5 star territory, whatever. But yeah, at the end of the day, it just does seem like the last year's match with a different outcome. I did like how they teased the exact same thing about Cena going for the people's elbow again, but he's smarter this year or whatever. I did like that kind of turn. No, okay. I guess I was just more okay with it, but yeah, and after we hear Jacob's, I do want to talk about the post-match stuff just a little bit. So Jacob, go ahead.
It was the exact same match. 1 star. That's being very generous.
Wow! Whoa! That's like respecting nothing they did.
Well,
That's like respecting nothing they did.
Well, I didn't, and that has a lot to do with WrestleMania in general. It just felt like a lazy WrestleMania. They rehashed just about everything, and like including the set design. It was the same match, and this time Cena wins. Everybody. Well, here's the problem with that. Cena winning is already a disappointment.
Yeah.
But they didn't end it there, did they? No. So let's. We've already said what there is to say about the match. Let's just go right into post-match.
So I found the post-match much worse than it's the worst match of the night where Rock is walking up the ramp, and they've already done the whole hand-raising thing and clapping for each other. He's walking up the ramp, smiling, forcing a smile because he's realizing Cena is there saluting him. That is probably the most sickening moment for any Rock fan, which is most of that crowd anyway. And it's just like, first of all, they kill any possible third match, you know, that they would have at a next year's WrestleMania.
I don't think about that.
They're squashing the beef. They're saying we have mutual respect for each other.
Well, on Raw, they
now.
mentioned rematch, so
yeah,
it's gonna happen.
That could happen way before WrestleMania. He's the number 1 contender right now. But I mean, was it as sickening to you guys as it was for me? I mean, I audibly groaned when I saw that.
Please go ahead.
The first thing it made me think about is, I mentioned this earlier, Stone Cold versus The Rock, their last match.
Yeah.
After The Rock beat Stone Cold, he went up to Stone Cold and they had their little chat.
Yeah.
And they did the same little thing with John Cena, but to me it's like, this is not sincere. This is not real because this is stupid.
I know. The Rock would
The
never
reason why
salute
Stone
him.
Cold and The Rock had that connection is because they were the 2 top stars of the most popular time in wrestling. So there was some respect there. For me, I don't see what kind of mutual respect there is for John Cena and The Rock. I don't get it. It doesn't go with anything.
It doesn't exist.
You know,
Sports.
Even though The Rock and Stone Cold hate each other on TV sometimes, you could tell that they were still friends, or they always had that back and forth that was always great. No one really one-upped each other. They were always, I don't know how you'd say it. They're the same.
Yeah.
And so that was disappointing. And just to completely crap on your face at the end of the show, it's like
it's not enough that The Rock lost to any Rock fans. It's that The Rock is now paying
saluted
forced respect.
John Cena.
Yeah.
Like John Cena is a Marine.
God, yeah, no one has military service between the two of them. So
No.
what is that?
It's retarded. That's what it is. Stupid.
Well,
Yep.
it was the single worst thing I've ever seen in wrestling.
Well, there's a lot.
No. I will explain why. In the same genre, in the same industry, which had RoboCop rip open a cage to save somebody, in the same industry where you had Yokozuna beat Bret Hart just so he could lose to Hogan. I mean, in the same industry, this is the single worst thing I've ever seen. And the reason why is it's exactly as you say. It's not enough to have Cena win, because that's just disappointing. But then they take The Rock, and they take all of his fans who grew up with him. And I mean, they started when they were like 13 or younger, and they're adults now. And that's pretty much the only reason they're there. I mean, was there anything else about WrestleMania that people were excited about? Maybe Brock, you know?
I mean,
but
from a few other things.
they take The Rock, they put him in front of all of his fans, and they shoot him in the head. His credibility is lost now. I'm sorry, I can't take The Rock seriously anymore. I do not like The Rock any longer. Now, that's going a bit extreme, but that's just how bad it is.
I can't take their feud seriously anymore. There is no feud anymore.
Maybe it could have been fine if they just shook hands and Brock walked out.
Yeah,
maybe.
But the salute is just way too much.
The salute is the worst thing I've ever seen. I just if they ever have a third match, I'll boo both of them because I mean it's there's no way that was genuine.
It's as if Triple H and Undertaker continued their feud after their whole standing on the stage with their shoulders around each other. Yeah, I mean, it's like the beef is squashed at that point. There's nothing left to do.
And I just don't see The Rock ever saluting John Cena. I just don't.
No.
He's still on such a higher level that Cena, no, that never happens. That never happens. The only reason they had that moment so that little Billy can go, well, I guess I like The Rock after all.
Yeah. As if The Rock needs to prove himself to any little kid.
Well, some kid who's decked out in the John Cena shirt and hat and who doesn't know who The Rock is, now it's okay, everybody. Now you can like The Rock too because they saluted. They're friends now. The WWE, just, oh man, I can't even put it into words. It's a misstep of the highest caliber.
Okay, fair. And with that, let's go ahead and give the show a rating for each of us. Let's go ahead and start with David.
I give it a 4.
Wow, I had no idea you're going that low. Dang, dude.
Almost the entire show is forgettable.
What?
The undercard was terribly booked. None of the matches meant anything because the feuds weren't built properly. And the stuff that I thought could have been decent was disappointing. Mm-hmm. I wanted more. This is WrestleMania. This is the biggest show of the year. It should be the best show. It should have the best matches, the best possible feuds that they can throw together, and they didn't do that. And that's what makes it disappointing. When I was a kid, man, I felt every WrestleMania special. Maybe it was because I was a kid.
Maybe.
But then again,
there were some really good ones when you were a kid, though.
Yeah.
So.
But as an adult, I still have run to a pay-per-view where I'm like, okay, this is an awesome, like Money in the Bank 2011. I'll always go back to that until there's something decent enough to be compared to.
Yeah.
As an adult, I watched that pay-per-view and I was like, oh my god, I'm a kid again, this is the greatest thing ever. And for me, I feel like every WrestleMania should make me feel that way.
Yeah.
I should always be invested in WrestleMania. So this was such a huge disappointment. One of the worst WrestleManias in years. Had 2 good matches on it. The rest were either middle of the road or worse. And that's just how I feel.
Okay. Real quick, I'm going to say my rating is a 5 out of 10. I was thinking, right after the show, I was thinking 6.5, but the majority of the stuff is forgettable. I have maybe 2 matches that I would go back and watch. and maybe a third if I'm really pushing it. It's not a memorable WrestleMania. It will probably fall in the latter fifth of all of the WrestleManias there've ever been. And it's an overall disappointing show, unfortunately. Jacob.
It was a 10 out of 10 as far as Raws go. As a WrestleMania, I'll go one lower. It was 3 out of 10. Worst WrestleMania I have ever seen. It was a fantastic Raw, and that's not what you want to see at WrestleMania.
Nope.
And that's the long and short of it.
You're right.
Okay, now after reviewing the travesty that was WrestleMania 29, let's go ahead and talk about, briefly, a few of the things that happened on Raw. We're not going to review Raw. We're just going to talk about two of the main events that really happened on Raw. The first one we'd like to talk about is the IC title change. The Intercontinental title changed hands from The Miz to Wade Barrett after just the previous night changing to The Miz. Jacob, what do you think?
You know, I keep waiting for the day where the mid-card titles mean something. You know?
Yeah. You have to wait a long time.
I know. And, there's nothing inherently wrong with, losing the belt and then winning it back the next day. I'm not saying that alone is a problem. It's The Miz and Wade Barrett somehow, to me, if you're going to lose it one night and the very next night, you win it and then you lose it the next day, it can be done, but the two people involved have to be they have to be close. It has to be like Rock and Austin. You know?
Yeah.
The Miz and Wade Barrett. You have The Miz, who I feel like his stock continues to decline in the company, and Wade Barrett, who may be a little slower, but I still think his stock is still rising in the company. I'm like, there's no way that's believable. If that was how the WWE wants to get me interested in the pay-per-view pre-shows, oops, try again. Because now it's who cares? It'll just get fixed the next night. I think I get what they were going for. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know. I'm just saying. I feel like they're trying to make me buy that the Miz is somehow this lifelong rival to Barrett. I'm like, really? I think Bryan and Barrett maybe?
Yeah, really. Seriously, yeah.
So I kind of get where they were going. I just don't like it. It was a dumb idea. Just no.
Okay, fair enough. David.
First of all, the reason I do hate that it switched back and forth day by day, mainly, it might have not been as big of a deal if it was actually on the WrestleMania card, but it wasn't. How many people actually watched that match? Probably not that many.
Not that many.
And it was on a pre-show that didn't matter. They're off the WrestleMania card, and only to change it the next night is what's the point? Well, what is the point? One, Miz looks like a giant 12-year-old kid. So and him being face, I cannot take The Miz seriously ever. Until he's a heel again or, annoying, whatever. I cannot take him serious. And I definitely cannot take the Figure 4 seriously, ever. With him doing it, never ever will I ever take that move seriously again, because it's terrible. So I'm glad Barrett won it back, because I feel like like you said, I still feel like his stock is rising. Mm-hmm. I still see a ton of potential for Wade Barrett, and I think he could have a good run with the title. Maybe make it more important. So that's what needs to happen. But this was stupid. It was pointless. I don't get the reason behind it. It's the Raw after WrestleMania. We have to do something else crazy. Let's just do this. Mm-hmm. And then what's Wade Barrett thinking? What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't get it either. I'm glad that the title is back home with Wade Barrett, but all this shuffling makes no sense. It almost feels like WWE wants to give Miz the rub in terms of history standpoint. When everyone thinks back to WrestleMania 29, they'll remember, oh yeah, Miz won the title. But it's on the pre-show. Who cares?
Exactly.
So if it was on the really mixed
show,
up.
Yeah, maybe I can understand.
Yeah, but it's the logic is just totally out the window. I don't get it, and each match really feels like Barrett is just really manhandling Miz. Yeah. So it just kind of feels like Miz is totally outclassed, and he got a lucky win at WrestleMania. And for them to just totally reverse it, it's better than Miz holding it for me, but it's still just very confusing. It's just what are the bookers thinking? Why? Why have the match at all? Just have Barrett keep it. I'd rather see a U.S. title match at that rate. I'd rather see Cesaro at WrestleMania.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Where was he on Raw? Who knows?
Where was he at WrestleMania?
Yeah, exactly. So Why
Where is
do
he?
all that crap?
Where is he?
Yeah, why do all that crap with the IC title when you can just do something else with a better wrestler altogether? I love Wade Barrett. I'm glad he's still IC champ, but yeah, whatever. Did everyone give their thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you not paying attention?
I'm not. I
Zach
totally
doesn't
just
care
black
about
out
the
when you
show.
talk is the problem.
Zach doesn't care.
So-
You know, that maybe what happened here is, they switched the title in the pre-show, but then there was a really bad turnout on YouTube, so like maybe only 1,000 people caught it.
Yeah.
And so, they go back to Raw and like, how many people actually know The Miz won? It's like, oh, well, I guess
What?
I guess we just give it back to Barrett
Did
next.
you steal the title?
I don't know. I really struggle to understand what the logic is. Anyway, so then we get to the big events.
Fandango.
Right, yeah, clearly. No, Ziggler cashes in on Alberto Del Rio and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Jacob, what do you think?
2-time world champion, baby. It counts.
Barely.
I-
First time
Counts in the history books.
I count it, and that's all that matters. So, given that it is his second reign, then he won't have the terrible inaugural reign. Seems like whenever you get the World Heavyweight title for the first time, your first reign is just, ugh.
CM Punk will tell you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, well, now you're on number 2. Just reach for the stars, buddy. Like, I'm...
Same with Orton.
Yeah, well,
Anyway, sorry.
I'm excited for Ziggler. It was a great cash in. And I liked the match that led up to it. Again, why not just have that Del Rio Swagger match on WrestleMania? Because it was a nice little treat for a Raw, but I go to WrestleMania to get treats and surprises, and that's why I'm paying a ridiculous amount of money. It's like,
Yeah. If they had combined the effort from the 2 matches into 1 match, it would have been phenomenal.
it'd been excellent. No, but I'm happy for Ziggler, and now I'm just gonna cross my fingers and hope that the WWE doesn't pull the rug out from underneath them.
Fair, fair. All right, David.
Like Ziggler says, about damn time.
Yes.
We've been waiting forever
Yeah.
for him to win back that title.
Yeah, almost
He's
a year
been,
at this point.
played around with for so long. It's just finally it's happened. It was a great moment. Yeah, it should have happened at Mania, but it was still awesome at Raw. Had a great crowd. Everyone was into it. They teased that Del Rio could still win. I loved it. I love that he's the champion. He deserves it. Whenever there's a guy who was a wrestling fan first and then came into the wrestling world to win a title because he cares, it means a lot to me. Because those are the type of people I want to win titles.
Yeah.
So for him to win is great. It's amazing. It makes me want to watch more SmackDown, which I don't always get to watch SmackDown, but now I really want to watch it every time.
For
I want to
him,
see Ziggler. So this is a great move. I'm glad it's finally over with. He finally cashed it in, so now we can move on and see where he goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I loved this moment. It was fantastic. I did love how they teased that he might lose here, and because Del Rio, even with his hurt leg, got impressive offense in.
That was
that
really good,
kick that he did when Ziggler was against the turnbuckle.
That was amazing.
Phenomenal. Yeah, it was like it really made me feel good for Del Rio for a minute there. But it's so long overdue. I'm so glad for Ziggler. It was just an incredible moment. But the one thing that's just in the back of my head is like, no one's cashed in at WrestleMania, right? I mean, no one. And I still remember back when Mr. Kennedy announced that he would wait all the way until WrestleMania, and that was an amazing moment. But obviously, it never came to be. Why not do it at WrestleMania? Why couldn't you elevate that show just... I mean, it needed a boost, did it not?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it really confuses me. Like, why do you want, people at Raw to see that? Why don't you want the whole world to be watching? I mean, yes, everyone's watching Raw, but it's WrestleMania. It's the grandest stage of them all. Give us a special moment. Especially after a match that wasn't like, blow your socks off phenomenal. Like, give us a cherry on the sundae, you know what I mean, at WrestleMania. I just don't, I don't get that logic. I'm overwhelmingly happy for Ziggler. It is what is going to tide me over through the John Cena title reign. Because, I mean, if someone else was champion, like Triple H was World Heavyweight Champion, I would probably just stop watching WWE. But someone like Dolph Ziggler gives me faith in the product, so, I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, I was phenomenally happy, and overall, it really contributed to a very good episode of Raw. I honestly felt that Raw was like kind of better than WrestleMania in a weird way.
It was.
Yeah, and that is never a good sign. Like, ugh, like why should that ever happen? Why do you pour millions and millions of dollars into a show and it's not as good as the next night's Raw? Like,
well, then that kind of now it has me rethinking my grade for WrestleMania because I said it was a 10 out of 10 Raw. So I don't know.
Well, this Raw was an 11.
Yeah, I guess it was an 11.
it was a very good Raw. I mean, they still had throwaway stuff, whatever. But you know, they had several moments, several very good matches, whatever. I mean, we're not going to rate Raw.
Oh, Ryder won.
Yeah, but that match was garbage.
That match happened, I was like, what is going on? Jobbers versus jobbers?
Yeah,
who's gonna win? It still surprised me. It's like, just give it to the 3MB, because this Ryder's not going to win anything. Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Ryder getting the pin, though, right? It was Santino.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well, it
whatever.
counts.
It counts.
At this point in his career, it counts.
Win column.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Anyway, guys, so that's going to be about it for us. That was our WrestleMania 29 review. We also have a WrestleMania 29 review on DirtSheets.com. We had a 4-person roundtable review featuring, I think it was Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, Chris Lemche, and Paul. What's his last name?
Lazar.
I never knew how to say it.
I never knew how to say it.
But yeah, Paul Lazar. And so all 4 of them sat down, reviewed WrestleMania. If you ever want to sit down and see what they thought, check out DirtSheets.com. That recap is there. So thanks, guys. Keep watching the Dirt Sheets, or keep reading the Dirt Sheets, actually. You're watching the Dirt Sheets right now.
Keep watching, too.
Yeah. And have a good week in wrestling. Hopefully we'll have Jacob back more often. Hopefully we can get him to be a permanent fixture. Who knows? Leave comments if you like Jacob and you want to see more of him.
Leave comments if you don't.
Yeah, right. If you want this dude gone, also leave comments.
Yeah,
anyway,
please.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week, and have a good week in wrestling.